Some people throughout Wethersfield have roles with intelligence too, but they've been since I was a kid confessing and demonstrating things because relative to their roles as complete strangers to me that I don't know at all, mixed with the ones I only know with them planting evidences, and that's recorded. That's even confirmed on Facebook. Then they take my Facebook page. They did that a bunch of times. Facebook has roles planting evidences with sexual and medical offenders, with the family members of judges and prosecutors. Now, I've been trying to tell Judge Napolitano since before Fox News. He was when he was still with Fox News, but mandated law is not followed. They're changing and faking what people type digitally, and they wire crime, mail crime methods. These are people putting fake things in databases. There are people with the Parks and Recreation with Wethersfield. And there are people next to the campus's intercities involved with this. That's why people of Hartford, all we need is one honest person. I also noticed in like with a Joshua Julian and others tied to him, the intelligence community has been having people pretend passions and emotions and using the right to lie where they don't have the right to lie to cover up their roles recorded with predicate acts with facts and databases. They're putting fake ties and fake natures of ties. And they're doing little magic tricks to get off with it. At the same time, with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and terrorists, though, in the difference of guilt. So, and then they also, too, with the people trying to hear what we say, they're pretending we're speaking about people, and they don't understand what we're speaking about. They attach me to fake conversations with themselves, WFSB, Connecticut's Channel 3 News. At the same time, these are people involved with the sources of Foxct Connecticut News and the intelligence next to their location. There's a Chet Casper that non-verbally sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. I never had a word of conversation with him. He has roles with a whole bunch of people with conjunctions to the 2-route highway where it runs into Hangdog Lane, and the conjunctions to that, like Route 3, all along Route 3 are people involved with a Chet Casper, also at medical and sexual offenders of kids. And his father, I don't know his father's name, but his father's roles with this as a coach. And his educators, I never saw him around schools. They try to make quick fake exceptions with a Casper. And we never even walked near each other. Never even saw him like near him in a school ever. He's involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders against me. And they try to make it look like I knew him at 3 spots at the end of the Berlin Turnpike. Increasingly, there are people with foreign and domestic military. There's a Jerry Kerr who was brought up by an officer, Jerry Miller. I only know him and his father, Jerry Kerr and a Jerry Kerr, and Mike Kerr. They made confessions about their roles also with the John DeMoro, with the people that work with the shopping centers and the managers that are involved with foreign and domestic military, overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and with sexual and medical offenders of campuses, with the names next to the campuses too, including fire and medical. And then they run into high life aggressions. So they have some doctor at Hartford Hospital that will also pretend to put fake things in database with some people tied to a Smith family near me, and his mother's involved with them at the Wethersfield town offices with military a bunch of ways too. People from Afghan leaders and kids, and these are whiting forensics, and state police are increasingly involved with the judges and prosecutors, with lawyers on all sides of criminal and civil cases, and the news at the same time, and with names next to crime scenes, their sources, put in the same sequence shifts and timed collusions, and people preventing me writing since I was a kid. Increasingly, these are people that put fake things in databases at campuses. And I only saw a Phil Colello one time outside of a car on my street one time. He's involved with people with more threats and demonstrations of their roles, because they had the other person repeat one of the names about they brought up with their confessions that brought up the worse than the upskirt nature principle was involved with, that I caught them involved with first. They forced me not to say that or say anything by calling me back a whole bunch of times and telling me, hold on, and then making a whole bunch of fake things and saying and changing what's recorded, putting fake transcripts, digital, changing what's digitally recorded, and lying about the communications with the investigators involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids, and people on off the state judicial branch offices and corrections offices, and the differences of the guilt there, or people next to it, or that were temporary there. And that was used also because it's at the same time with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, and terrorists. And Andrew O'Brien and Tim O'Brien sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm they have federal evidences crimes next to the state judicial branch offices, and with the Keene family, that where they made fake exceptions and put fake things in databases tied to that. And that's with the World Trade Center attack rules. Increasingly, people involved with them with former mayors from Wethersifeld too, and Hartford police departments, Rocky Hill police departments, Wethersfield police departments, and the Britain police departments involved with falsified police reports with them. There were also leasing agents on Covington Street and their family members and the workers of them, like the guy who fixes things, involved also with the houses next to them, with some sexual and medical offenders of kids, with judges and prosecutors that are personally and professionally involved with them, criminally foreign influence uses of investigators, and all ages and natures of campuses and where they go, including either been training state police, criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. Also, there's a DeMoro family, the FBI director, Robert Luskin, is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed non-verbally to me in a 2006 district court case. They're involved with him planting evidences with men and women with the intelligence community on off Central Connecticut State University, also with the Dean Judd and his family members with Hartford courts involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and federal evidences crimes, and predicate acts roles with a whole bunch of different countries. And they forced Saudis to collusions with them because also they were forced to collusions with others. There's other involved, and there are others. These are people involved with differences, racketeering, some war crimes. That's why there's some black KKK, Confederate flag theme, Latino theme, Italian theme, Korean theme at the same time, recorded with a Joshua Julian and others on my street involved with people from other areas involved with home break-ins through time. Also recorded tied to Joshua Julian. I never saw him in person in real life. Rick Cianfaglione was putting fake ties, fake natures of ties to me with people involved with him, with a Mark Violet, with the intelligence next to Trinity College, through wars as collusions. They have all kinds of, through world wars, psychiatry had all kinds of collusions. UConn has all kinds of foreign and domestic military involved with a Mike Pandoff, people with the name Zeno. Zeno are also involved with sequence ships, identity theft, fraud, slanderous, federal evidences crimes, and predicate acts with proven child abusers, leaders of kids, years apart roles, including with people planting evidences at and between campuses. He sought me out to record, confess, demonstrate, confirm. It has something to do with his roles with intelligence at Central Connecticut State University and at Trinity College. He was influenced to pretend other. And pretend me towards him. I just went with, I didn't even communicate with him. He just made it look like these are people planting evidences there. Also with a Joshua, also with a Joshua Stryker involved with a police with some murders next to Trinity College and beatings next to Trinity College and an untimely death involved with the people on my street involved with that intercities and with the intelligence next to Trinity Central Connecticut State University and Trinity College. The people that lived next to it also recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with all kinds of federal evidences crimes from intelligence that lived near me. And everyone is pretending. I'm not complaining about anyone. I'm talking about the specific acts and all sides of criminal and civil cases as their roles for preventing people from getting onto paper, the interbranch on paper. But this is also them, everyone speaking through other force so they can put more and more fake things in databases. Since I was a kid, they wouldn't put anything on paper legitimately. As people increasingly collusions with overt criminal enterprise, private ones, and terrorists. These are people at the World Trade Center and spots next to it and the court next to it, all sides of that case. Their sources and the court itself put a sequence ship that day, which was proven. As the people involved, not all Central Connecticut State University planting predicate acts. In other words, and you guys are leaking, you're going to leak more and more with this because you're refusing to identify. This is what it's tied to. That's what motivated you guys. John Dennis and Joe Dennis will co-express that they were influenced to put fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, make fake exceptions of knowing it for their roles with intelligence all along Route 175 and next to Central Connecticut State University. Rick Cianfaglione also made confessions about that spot involved with him with a Leahy family, involved with federal evidence crimes, identity theft, fraud, slanders, also with the Brian Silver and other prosecutors and judges with New Britain Superior Court, including with their roles with victims advocates with sexual and medical offenders of kids, involved also with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and the appointed lawyers, collusions with the police forms in court, switching names, forging names, all kinds of evidences, racketeering, worse than war crimes. Now they can't afford to go back and have anything the past. They're shown, that's how they're shown too. They have to keep that self-value while they're looking forward. As fakes, they can't speak about crimes. They have roles of predicate acts with facts methods. Black pupils. Fear. Get them. Wethersifeld Pizza House has people also next to Trinity College and next to the other child campuses there too. There are more people with the Institute of Living, I noted too, as a pattern of people involved with child abusers before they were caught. And with judges, probate court judges, like with forced mental evaluations at Hartford Hospital. The people involved with that, like a Leahy family, is also involved with this Cianfaglione family, with intelligence along Griswold Street with the name like a Mr. Gold. He's increasingly involved with people from Russia and people interstates involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, and with a Joe DeMoro involved with home break-ins and some Jewish-themed sexual and medical offenders of kids. And they call attacks on themselves verbally, and they make them up if they don't get them. And not because, oh, it's APAC. It's more so just people who are saying, oh, it's just APAC or it's that. You guys, but they want and need to use isms and their defenses of their uses of isms. Criminally foreign influence, tactically delusions raw. You guys aren't supposed to be experts on things to use that to try to have a debate with us about things that aren't even debatable, let alone the extortion of George Washington, let alone how that was induced also by the counter extortion of James Madison, that he also helped them counter extort the rest of the founders as the rest of the colonists and the rest of the Native Americans, forced to get ourselves free. But we're still not free at A through Z. Other things, others ourselves, besides the breaching method, were our forced blame too. All and until all the truths are forced too. Collusions with that used wrong, fake passions and emotions. Anytime, in other words, people, we have Congress people using word a Holocaust denier as collusions, leaving out and changing black people's whites of eyes. You don't leave out the breaching method against everyone sickly distinctly to leave out to measure left out how sickly non-distinctly. You have people incapable of speaking for the Constitution unabridged. Their oaths, they value the oaths over the Constitution because they're fake with the badios with that. That means something in some other language I didn't know. I gave us nicer swears to use. That's for like BS. In other words, there's a Chet Casper, and there are other people on 2-Route Highway. I don't know their names, and they live close to and other natures or conjunctions to a South Cibiello. I don't know if he still lives on 2-Route Highway. He's increasingly involved with people with state police, making confessions and demonstration of his roles, also with Facebook, with sexual and medical offenders of kids, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders, fake ties, fake natures of ties to me, and people try to make fake exceptions, like his friend, which is a Rich Dombrowski. Rich Dombrowski was his recorded confess, demonstrated, confirmed, involved with people that with investigators have been putting fake things in databases and fake motivations. I don't know if he knows it or what extent, but in other words, he's just repeating fake things about me. He doesn't know me. I went to a Cub Scout meeting where I didn't have one word of him with him or South Cibiello. And those are only two people there. And then he called me. There are connections between people who sought me out to call me out of nowhere. And, I didn't, I recorded those same people planting evidences against myself, but also with others. That's why you guys are preventing people. You guys are keeping a whole bunch of people. We're gonna examine this, but you have to get them on paper, one name in sequence. I want the rest of the people with this Anthony Agnew involved with these Mendez police intercities with some sexual and medical offenders. Further, with the ones at the Britain Superior Court involved with them also. I want them gotten on paper. And regarding the Bob Chase with the Phil Colello confessions and their roles putting arrays of falsified police reports. And get this Bob Chase to respond to mandated law. I want a response for the rest of the people with this Phil Colello involved with that proven principal upskirt nature and their roles charging me for harassment, and they didn't even let me speak yet. And so they could pretend that I spoke with them. They called me back a bunch of times, left a bunch of messages, and put fake things too. Their evidence is planting at these campuses, black pupils, intercities, these same ones involved. What is Chet Casper doing? And what is the Violet and the people with the Violet family and this Mayo family doing next to the state capitol? And with my name, what do they do? Get my name out of their mouths and get them on paper, one name in sequence. And I want that on the campus. I want a response for the confessions of and the confirmations of the principal child abuser. Why'd you hide that from the parents? And note, some of those parents were criminally involved with their kids, with the police chief Cintron. There's a Jessica Cintron, never met her in my life. And there's a Reno Mazzucato. I barely know him. Trying to make fake exceptions of knowing me, planting federal evidences, crimes, and sequence ships. That's also recorded other ways. I never saw him inside of school in my life. The Mazzucatos, increasingly involved with retired police chiefs, plural, with the same house near me, /S, and ones with the syntax with them, like the Smith family too. I don't even know his mother's name. Involved with some guy, I don't know his name. Involved with these doctors that brought up the name Chet Casper, and he said, sign this, or these guys are going to put you and lock you down and stick a needle in you. I want to know what they forced me to sign there too, and they have those. Because they have other federal evidences crimes before that. They're also forging names of other doctors and putting fake transcripts with the Leahy family with this, and a Judge Killian involved with digital crimes with sexual and medical offenders of kids. He's got his kids and his neighbors involved where his lives. These are people with use of location, whereas collusion /S with use of all natures of investigators. There's a Delafair family too involved. I only know two of their names, a Mike Delafair and a Chris Delafair. I never saw them on campus in my life. They know my name through other people, and they were spying with other countries. And they have roles with some black KKK, Confederate flag theme, Latino theme, people with the fire departments, and Korean themed, German themed with the fire departments, and all along Route 175 from the founding locations. Some Corone brothers, and some people with the name Jensen, and Kevin, what's his name? Justin Glebinskis. They made it look like they were fighting together, and I was with them. I was with them, but they just tricked me to be there, so they can make it look like both sides of an issue. There were sides or people that they're planting evidences increasingly with the state police, families, interstates, and with the Wethersifeld and inter police departments, has something to do with this, like on Dearborn Street in Newington, in that park there. And next to parks, there's a park next to, not far from Park Street, like in Main Street, and Hartford. And there's ones in Wethersfield on the sides of it. A Joe Aiello is recorded, confessed, demonstrated, confirmed by people in my area involved through time. With people involved with child abusers, leaders of kids years apart. We also had extended family members and people with the intelligence, foreign and domestic, involved with it, time collusions with our work criminal enterprise, private ones too. And the news. The news has straight up identity theft, fraud, slanders with them. And in other words, please get WFSB Channel 3, get me off the fake conversations with them and get the interbranch to identify themselves legitimately. Connecticut's Channel 3 News had roles of the World Trade Center attack through other natures of organized crimes with them. Gail King and others involved with P. Diddy. Pretty sure it's the same guy. And with Usher. And it's nothing personal against them. These are people with the black KKK, Latino theme, and celebrities and sports figures involved getting in people's business dishonestly, preventing mandated law. In other words, get them on paper, one name and sequence. Get me off the fake conversation. New Britain Superior Court, too, has their Facebook page involved with sexual and medical offenders and rape threats and federal evidences crimes and planting identity theft, fraud, and sequence shifts when people know each other. They're putting the same ones putting fake things in databases at the grammar schools and next to it. Same people. There's a DeMoro family, and there's ones with the name Schedule, and others in that area associated with the DeMoro family, involved with sexual and medical offenders at the same time with overt criminal enterprises and private ones, and relative a bunch of different rape confessions and things and requests to help to me and people around me regarding that. As the same ones, they never pretend they know you. And in other words, dishonestly. The same ones with the child offenders. In other words, get them on paper, one name in sequence. We're only allowed to speak for ourselves. The WFSB and the Britain Superior Court and the court in New York next to the World Trade Center and New Haven's District Court and Hartford courts put me in fake and changed communications with my family as roles with some people since I was a kid, with their family members and their neighbors doing it. There are others, people that live near Dearborn Street, other involved with that too. And Daryl Chandler will tell you the intelligence tied to him influenced him to pretend fake things, fake ties, fake natures, ties to these sequence shifts, plant fake things in databases. They're not legitimately with their roles with the shopping centers and the child abusers, leaders of the kids, years roles, and untimely death roles too, with people tied to them. What's Daryl Chandler's sister's name? There's some Mendez police and people with a food bag and places tied to it involved. There's also a Gerard or something like Gerard with people involved with conversations with Jonathan Mayano involved with foreign and domestic military and medical and sexual offenders of kids with overt criminal enterprises, private ones, with their houses and businesses next to Hartford Hospital. Also, per the Rick Cianfaglione and Timothy O'Brien. I never saw him around Timothy O'Brien. And a former Mayor Gold is involved with them too, with the Jonathan Mayano and with his family and people tied to him, repeating fake things. Increasingly, mayors and ties to mayors are timed collusions with criminal enterprises, private ones, and the people at the same time that have roles of the World Trade Center attack spots. And since to hide it, and with the people, with and as people next to the news spots, a bunch of people that pretended to know me, like this Allegro's Cafe has a people involved with it, and they're lying about with it because I didn't say anything bad about them on Facebook, but they also have roles with the police forms that put fake Facebook pages pretending to be me, and they faked and changed what I typed, and they typed in the word extremism too, because of their roles needing to hide how they were used and are used remotely, just like all investigators in their campuses. Also, Quinnipiac University has a Harris family involved with sexual and medical offenders of kids and with relative delusions, identity theft, fraud, slanders, and they made up things to Mr. Murphy's daughter. I don't even know her name. That reportedly was a girlfriend of a Kevin Harris. He's involved with people at Quinnipiac University putting fake things, acting so that others can film fake ties, fake natures of ties to people. Also with a Fred Gruzet involved with judges and prosecutors with sexual and medical offenders of kids, with overt criminal enterprises and private ones. And some person on Facebook says his name is Joey Quest, involved with this Fred Gruzet, involved with identity theft, fraud, slanders of my neighbors, planting evidences, crimes, falsified police reports, wire crimes, fake conversations with me, fake ties to me. Get them on paper, one name in sequence. There's also a Paul Abted and with family members at a Hartford Hospital involved with sexual, medical, and medicines crimes with kids, including with judges, prosecutors, and their family members. Fear God to hide and fly. Do what's right, Fox Connecticut News, and get what's there. Are those Mendez police too, with the owners, with the clubs there too, with something to do with the people on 2 Route Highway, like with the name Allegro. I think that's the guy's name. I never had a personal conversation with him. But he was involved with it. I met some Mendez police and someone with the name Fianza, some people with the name Fianza and their neighbors involved with wire crimes of police through time, various natures of body dumping spots, murders that they have time collusions with, untimely deaths, and child abusers, leaders of kids, as people roll too with identity theft, fraud, slanders, making fake exceptions of knowing people. And I never had anything to do with Joshua Julian in my life. I never partied with him in my life. There are people with the intelligence. They try to take your picture of you at a house or partying or with people. Like, I don't even party with them. They just take you a picture of you going by for a second. In other words, they trick you to be at a spot and take a picture and pretend you were partying with them. You drank. They make things up because of their roles with those locations, and then covering that up. Increasingly, there is all kinds of medical corruption and medicines corruption. And people with badges and gavels involved, black peoples, and the corrections offices and judicial branch offices with the same house/S, people tied to them involved with the wire crimes of the police, including Wethersifeld Pizza House. They have wire crime acts and methods of the Wethersfield police, and the judicial branch offices also grouped roles. Fear God, who disbelieves. Get them on paper. Who knows this Chet Casper? Where's he work? What's he do? He should fear God and drop it right now if he's got a badge. And get out of the courts if you're in the courts. Chet Casper. Get on paper, one name in sequence. Some sexual and medical offenders of kids brought you into their identity theft, fraud, slanders with you. Don't pretend I ever had a word of conversation with you. Where do you live, too? What is your sister's maiden name now? Does she marry? What's your father's name? The one who was the coach. Get him on paper, too. Like, hurry up.